We went to California. The purpose of going there was because a few of the kia'i had written to Gordon Moore Foundation and requested an audience with Gordon Moore. Now, why would we request an audience with Gordon Moore? Because he is one of the largest single donors to the TMT project. He's not the only donor, but he's the largest single donor. The goal of going there was to speak with him and tell him our position and let him know that we still want him to reconsider investing to build on Mauna Kea. Now, what we brought to him was we were able to show him the link of where 67,000 people have signed. That's a large number of people. We collected those signatures in 4 days. So that's a lot of support, actually. We also wanted to remind him of the letters that we sent back in 2009, and then again that were hand-carried. Pua Case hand-carried these letters and her own letter from her family to Gordon Moore Foundation in Palo Alto, California, I think in 2011. And then we were there to remind him also of the Adler Report, what's known as the Adler Report. We brought that to him also. He sent out a consulting firm to interview multiple political players and what he called Native Hawaiian thought leaders, anyways, members of the in the know and the not in the know.
Were you one of them?
I was actually one,
yeah.
but there were many. There were many,
right.
Actually, and Peter Adler, who owns the Adler Foundation, he basically summarized that the TMT probably should not come and should not invest here in Hawaii, that it was too high risk. And so he said that the risk were basically legal tripwires. So we brought those kinds of information forward to the president. It wasn't to Mr. Moore or Betty, his wife, either. Personally, they didn't show up, but the president of the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation did receive us, and we had a good conversation. And just so you know who it was Kupuna Liko Martin, Laulani Teal, Pua Case, Kalama, Oka'aina, Niheo, is Dr. Kalama. She's a medical doctor. And myself. Laulani also has her degrees in public health. And so they were talking about the health and well-being of the Hawaiian people in witnessing the desecration and the suffering that causes. And everyone sort of had their own part to speak to. And we basically were inviting them to be thought leaders because we recognize them as thought leaders, but to invite them as thought leaders to join with us, because whether you're looking at the world from an indigenous point of view or a Western point of view, we all agree that the earth is in trouble. But that's what we were there to talk to him. Then we went into Oakland, and what was in Oakland was the treasurer of the TMT. He also happens to be the chief financial officer for the entire UC system, which is a huge system. And then we had really the honor to join. And by the way, I want to say that we were escorted by all of the First Nation peoples and Native Americans and Pacific Islanders who joined with us and standing for the mountain and have been joining with us from the very beginning. The Ohlone people, Chief Kayleen from Mount Shasta, she came also. They drove all that way, and some of her ohana. and then the Nesians, we learned a new word, the Polynesian, Melanesian, and Micronesians, that collectively stand for the Aina in Mokuhonu, the mainland, in California. So it was such an honor to be there. And then we got to go to Santa Cruz and participate in a teach-in, and we got to go to the multicultural area in Berkeley, and we walked and we did ceremony for the Ohlone ancestors that are actually kept at Berkeley. And I do know that they are seeking to repatriate them. So we had such a good time there. However, the journey was to deliver also the UC system students who are asking for their universities to divest from a destructive project that will cause pain and suffering and injury to the people of Hawaii and their supporters.